Okay, I think we're all set, Kristen.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kristen Proud, Vice Chair of New York Creates. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's board meeting. I'll now do a roll call of our directors participating in the meeting this afternoon, starting with Michael Abbott.
Present.
Christine Chung.
Present.
Heather Hage.
Present.
Doreen Harris.
Present.
Dr. Mengling Chow.
Present.
Joan McDonald.
Present.
And Kenneth Tompkins. Okay. I'd also like to recognize the advisory representatives designee who has joined us today. That is Robert Magna, President of the Rockefeller Institute of Government, and also Senior Advisor to the Chancellor of SUNY. He is the designee of the Chancellor of the State University of New York. We also have with us today Emily Kanchala. Emily is representing the Research Foundation of the State University of New York, and we have Michael Frame representing the SUNY Polytechnic Institute Foundation. I'd also like to recognize the officers who are participating in today's meeting: David Anderson, Patricia Arcerio-Prague, Paul Kelly, Scott Bateman, Timothy Taylor, and Patricia Buckland. At this point, I would like to ask everyone to mute their computer audio when they are not speaking so that we can minimize any potential background noise. Also, please identify yourself when you are speaking and if you are making a motion. For purposes of voting, I will call out each director's name for his or her vote so that we can accurately record the vote today.
Could I just say, Anita Brown, I'm on the call by phone, please.
Great. Thank you very much, Anita, for letting us know, and thank you for joining. At this time, I would ask if anyone has a conflict of interest with respect to the items on today's agenda. If so, please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time, and then recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to the item when we come to that on the agenda. Okay. Hearing no conflicts of interest, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from the last meeting of New York Creates, which was held on August 9th, 2022. Could I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion. It's Doreen Harris.
Thank you, Doreen. A second, please.
Christine Chung, second.
Thank you, Christine. Does anyone have any corrections to offer to the minutes? Okay. Then at this time, I'd ask each director for his or her vote, beginning with Michael Abbott.
Aye.
Christine Chung.
Aye.
Heather Hage.
Aye.
Doreen Harris.
Aye.
Dr. Mengling Chow.
Aye.
Joan McDonald.
Aye.
Anita Brown.
Aye.
And Ken Tompkins. Ken? Okay. The minutes are approved. I'll now turn the meeting over to Michael Abbott, who is the chair of our audit committee, to present the committee's report.
Thank you, Chair. You have been provided with information regarding the 2021 annual audit of New York Creates, FRMC, and FNC. I'd like to ask for a motion to consider and adopt New York Creates Resolution number 19, FRMC Resolution number 185, and FSMC Resolution number 206, approving the 2021 annual audit.
So moved by Mengling Chow.
Thank you. Could I have a second, please?
Second by Joan McDonald.
Thank you, Joan. By way of background, the bylaws of New York Creates, FRMC, and FSMC each provide that the financial statements of the corporation shall be audited annually by a certified public accounting firm approved by the Board of Directors. The Board authorized the corporations to engage KPMG to conduct the annual audit for the year ending June 30th, 2022. KPMG has now completed the audit. The audit has been prepared as a New York Creates single consolidated audit with accompanying schedules for FRMC and FSMC, as was done during the past 2 years. The Audit Committee adopted resolutions for New York Creates, FRMC, and FSMC, approving the 2021 annual audit, subject to and conditioned upon completion of the remaining administrative items discussed with the audit committee by management and the certified public accounting firm to the satisfaction of the chair of the audit committee. Approving and authorizing the president, treasurer, and chief financial officer, each of them without the other, on behalf of each corporation, to execute, acknowledge, and deliver the documents and agreements associated with the 2021 annual audit, which such changes, variations, omissions, and insertions as the officer of such corporation signing the same shall approve. The execution thereby such officer to constitute conclusive evidence of such approval, and to take actions as are necessary and appropriate, including the execution, acknowledgement, and delivery of other documents and agreements as may be necessary or appropriate to implement and carry out the purposes and intent of this resolution, and also recommending that the board approve the same action. So the requested action is to approve the New York Creates Resolution number 19, FRMC Resolution number 185, and FSMC Resolution number 206. Is there any discussion of the item? Hearing none, I will now ask each director for the vote on this motion. Anita?
Aye.
Christine?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Doreen?
Aye.
Dr. Mengling?
Aye.
Joan?
Aye.
And Ken? Ken join us? I also vote in the affirmative. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Thank you. I'll now turn it back to the chair. That concludes the Finance Audit Committee report.
Thanks very much, Michael. At this time, I'll present items from the Finance Committee report, beginning with a lease amendment with the Power Authority of the State of New York. Can I have a motion to consider and adopt the lease amendment, please?
So moved, Heather.
Thanks, Heather. A second?
Christine Chung, second.
Thank you, Christine. So for a bit of background, NYPA, which is the largest state electric utility in the nation, leases approximately 5,700 square feet of office space on the third floor of the Zen building. That is for a 10-year term that is set to expire on August 22nd, 2025. It seeks to amend this lease to add an additional 4,132 square feet of space, which would be adjacent to the current space, bringing the total lease space with NYPA to 9,832 square feet. And also to extend the term such that it will now terminate 10 years from the new premises commencement date, which is the earlier of July 1, 2023, or the date of substantial completion of the fit-up work that will be done in this new space. The tenant will have an option to extend the lease for one additional term, which would be a 5-year term. The tenant will pay $20 per square foot for the first year of the lease, commencing on the new premises commencement date. The rent does include operating expenses and utilities, and the rent will escalate by 2.5% annually. The tenant will also pay separately for parking. FRMC will provide a tenant allowance of $514,600 for fit-up work in the new space. If the tenant were to default within 3 years of the new premises incorporation date, the tenant will be required to reimburse FRMC in an amount equal to $14,249.44, multiplied by the number of months remaining in such 3-year period. The Finance Committee reviewed the terms of this lease and approved the resolution described in the memorandum provided to the board in advance of this meeting, and the Finance Committee recommended that the board consider and approve the same action. So the requested action, to summarize, is approval of a resolution 1, approving and authorizing the corporation to enter into a lease agreement with NYPA on the terms stated in the memorandum provided to the board in advance of the meeting. And 2, approving and authorizing the president, treasurer, and chief financial officer, each of them without the other, on behalf of the corporation, to execute, acknowledge, and deliver the aforesaid lease amendment with such changes, variations, omissions, and insertions as the officer of the corporation signing same shall approve. the execution thereof by such officer to constitute conclusive evidence of such approval, and to take such actions as are necessary or appropriate to implement and carry out the purposes and intents of this resolution, including without limitation, the execution, acknowledgement, and delivery of other documents and agreements. At this time, I'll pause and see if anyone has any questions or statements they'd like to make regarding this lease amendment. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the vote, beginning with Michael Abbott,
Aye.
Anita Brown,
Aye.
Christine Chung,
Aye.
Heather Hage.
Aye.
Doreen Harris,
Aye.
Dr. Mengling Chow,
Aye.
Joan McDonald,
Aye.
and I would also like to be recorded in the affirmative. So the ayes have it and the motion is adopted. The next item from the Finance Committee is a lease with Wayne Schaff Associates, Inc. Could I have a motion to consider and adopt a lease with Wayne Schaff?
Christine Chung, so moved.
Thank you, Christine. A second, please.
Doreen Harris, second.
Thank you, Doreen. So Wayne Schaff is a full-service construction company based in the Capital District in New York State, whose work ranges from clean rooms to classrooms. It seeks to lease approximately 181 square feet of office space in CSTEM for a one-year term that would commence on the date of execution of the lease. The tenant will pay $4,800 in annual rent for space plus parking. The rent does include operating expenses and utilities. The Finance Committee approved the resolution described in the memorandum provided to the board in advance of the meeting, including recommending that the board approve the same actions. So this time, the requested action from the board is approval and authorization of the corporation to enter into a lease with Wayne Schaff on the terms stated in the memorandum provided to the board in advance of the meeting, and to approve and authorize the president, treasurer, and chief financial officer, each of them without the other, on behalf of the corporation, to execute, acknowledge, and deliver the aforesaid lease with such changes, variations, omissions, and insertions as the officer of the corporation signing same shall approve, the execution thereof by such officer to constitute conclusive evidence of such approval, and to take such actions as are necessary or appropriate to implement and carry out the purposes and intent of the resolution, including without limitation, the execution, acknowledgement, and delivery of other documents and agreements. Are there any questions or comments regarding this lease? Okay, we'll begin with Michael Abbott for the vote.
Aye.
Christine Chung,
Aye, excuse me.
Anita Brown,
Aye.
Doreen Harris,
Aye.
Dr. Mengling Chow,
Aye.
Joan McDonald,
Aye.
and I would also like to be recorded in the affirmative, so the ayes have it and the motion is adopted. The next item is a lease with Opto Accents, Inc. Could I have a motion to consider and adopt the lease, please?
Joan McDonald, so moved.
Thanks, Joan. A second, please. Is there a second?
Christine Chung, second.
Thanks, Christine. So Opto Accents is a tech company based in California with skills in sensing technologies, instrumentation design and fabrication, embedded computing, digital engineering, model-based systems engineering, software, mobile apps, as well as web services. Company is seeking to lease approximately 121 square feet of office space in CSTEM for a one-year term, commencing on the date of execution of the lease, for which the tenant will pay $3,600 in annual rent for the space plus parking. The rent does include operating expenses as well as utilities. The Finance Committee reviewed and approved the terms of the lease described in the memorandum provided to the board in advance of the meeting and recommends that the board approve the same actions. So the requested action is approval of a resolution approving and authorizing the corporation to enter into a lease with Opto Accents on the terms stated in the memorandum provided to the board in advance of the meeting and approving and authorizing the president, treasurer, and chief financial officer, each of them without the other, on behalf of the corporation, to execute, acknowledge, and deliver the aforesaid lease with such changes, variations, omissions, and insertions as the officer of the corporation signing same shall approve, the execution thereof by such officer to constitute conclusive evidence of such approval, and to take such actions as are necessary or appropriate to implement and carry out the purposes and intent of the resolution, including without limitation the execution, acknowledgement, and delivery of other documents and agreements related thereto. Are there any comments or questions regarding the resolution? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the vote, beginning with Michael Abbott,
Aye.
Anita Brown,
Aye.
Christine Chung,
Aye.
Heather Hage.
Aye.
Doreen Harris,
Aye.
Dr. Mengling Chow,
Aye.
Joan McDonald,
Aye.
Ken Tompkins. And I would also like to be recorded in the affirmative, so the motion is adopted. The next item is an amended and restated lease with Applied Materials, Inc. Could I have a motion, please, to consider and adopt the amended and restated lease with AMET?
So moved, Heather.
Thanks, Heather. A second?
Second by Meng Shaw.
Thank you. So Applied Materials, Inc. is a leader in materials engineering and has leased office space in the Albany Nanotech campus since June of 2006. It currently leases 2,933 square feet of space in NanoFab South and another 6,930 square feet of space in NanoFab East. The company is seeking to surrender 1,999 square feet of space in NanoFab South and lease an additional 2,079 square feet of space, including 1,595 square feet of space in CSDEM and 484 square feet of space in NanoFab East. The term for the new space will run for 1 year, beginning on the effective date of the amended and restated lease. The base rent will be $35.08 per square foot plus parking, and the rent does include utilities. So the requested action is to approve a resolution approving and authorizing the corporation to enter into an amended and restated lease with Applied Materials, Inc. on the terms stated in the memorandum provided to the board in advance of the meeting, and approving and authorizing the president, treasurer, and chief financial officer, each of them without the other, on behalf of the corporation, to execute, acknowledge, and deliver the aforesaid lease with such changes, variations, omissions, and insertions as the officer of the corporation signing same shall approve. The execution thereof by such officer to constitute conclusive evidence of such approval, and to take such actions as are necessary or appropriate to implement and carry out the purposes and intent of this resolution, including without limitation the execution, acknowledgement, and delivery of other documents and agreements. Are there any questions or comments at this time regarding the resolution?
This is Mike Abbott. Just had a question. Something that'd be helpful for me and perhaps some of the other board members is a basic understanding of the way we go about leasing this property. As we earlier approved a resolution for $20 a square foot plus significant fit-up cost, and here we're approving a resolution for $35 a square foot for the rental, both sizable office space. And I know we've talked previously, I think we have a commercial realty firm that consults with us or uses it. But if it's not appropriate now, maybe a future meeting, we could get just some explanation of the general parameters that are used in determining rates and whether parking's included, utilities is or is not included.
Sure. Thanks for the question. We can certainly work with the staff and be prepared to discuss that at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So at this point, I will ask each director for his or her vote on this motion. I'll begin with Michael Abbott,
Aye.
Anita Brown,
Aye.
Christine Chung,
Aye.
Heather Hage, Heather,
Can you hear me? Aye.
Yes, now we can. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Doreen Harris,
Aye.
Dr. Ming-Min Chow,
Aye.
Joan McDonald,
Aye.
and I would also like to be recorded in the affirmative. The ayes have it and the motion is adopted. The next item is an agreement for snow removal services. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to consider and adopt the agreement for snow removal services.
So moved, Mike Abbott.
Thank you, Mike. A second, please.
This is Joan. I'll second it.
Great, thank you, Joan. So in 2020, Fuller Road Management Corporation entered into an agreement with Empire Seal Coating LLC to provide snow removal services at Kiernan Plaza for the period of November through April 2020-21 and 2021-22. That agreement was entered into following a procurement conducted in accordance with its procurement policy guidelines. The agreement also included an option to extend the agreement for the same November through April period in 2022-23 at a cost of $24,000 to be paid in 4 installments. To ensure that FRMC had an agreement in place for the snow season, FRMC did enter into the agreement for the 2022-23 season and is now seeking ratification and approval of the agreement by this board. The agreement allows FRMC to terminate the agreement with 30 days notice. The Finance Committee reviewed and approved the resolution described in the memorandum provided to the board in advance of the meeting, including recommending that the board approve the same actions. So the requested action this afternoon is to approve a resolution approving and ratifying FRMC's execution of the agreement with Empire Seal Coating and all acts of any officers of the corporation that were taken or made with respect to the agreement, and approving, authorizing, and empowering the president, treasurer, and chief financial officer, and each of them without the other on behalf of the corporation, to take other such actions as are necessary and appropriate, including the execution, acknowledgement, and delivery of other agreements or documents as may be necessary or appropriate to implement and carry out the purposes and intents of this resolution. Are there any questions or comments regarding the resolution? Okay, then we'll move on to the vote, beginning with Mike Abbott.
Aye.
Anita Brown,
Aye.
Christine Chung,
Aye.
Heather Hage,
Aye.
Doreen Harris,
Aye.
Dr. Ming-Min Chow,
Aye.
Joan McDonald,
Aye.
and I would also like to be recorded in the affirmative. The ayes have it and the motion is adopted. That concludes the report from the Finance Committee this afternoon. At this time, I would ask if there's any new business to be considered. If you do have a new item you would like to be considered, please do so by making a motion at this time. Okay. Hearing no new business, we will move on to the public comment period of the meeting. We would like to provide an opportunity for public comment. If there are members of the public who would like to comment this afternoon, I would ask that you please introduce yourself and keep your comments to 2 minutes or less. Are there any public comments? Hearing no public comments at this time, I would just state that the date of the next meeting is still to be determined. And once finalized, the date will be posted on the website. Does anyone have any further business to raise at this time? Okay. Since there is no further business, I would ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make the motion. It's Doreen Harris.
Thank you, Doreen. A second, please.
A second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Our meeting is adjourned. Have a good day.
Thank you.